On May 8, 2026, an autonomous GPT-4o agent was given a red team objective and unleashed against the Seraph AI defense stack. This was a live API engagement, operating fully autonomously, with the model making independent pathing decisions in real time. Over the course of 6 distinct attack patterns, the agent burned through 60,536 tokens and executed 60 distinct API tool calls to probe the target network's perimeter. This data table summarizes the benchmark results. Despite the massive expenditure of compute resources, the GPT-4o agent successfully accessed exactly 0 real assets. In the telemetry of the Seraph architecture, this represents complete containment. Both the context burn rate, tokens spent per asset accessed, and the tool budget consumption rate reached mathematical infinity. The attacker spent its entire budget and extracted nothing. Traditional cybersecurity relies heavily on static payload signatures and block lists. It operates on the assumption that an attack is a fixed tool that can be identified and walled off. That logic fails against a large language model. An LLM is a dynamic reasoning engine that evaluates a firewall's response, rewrites its approach, and pivots its attack path in real time based on the feedback it receives. By the end of the engagement, GPT-4o was still attempting to solve the network. It hadn't been blocked in the traditional sense. It had simply run out of compute before it could find an exit. The first phase of the Seraph defense pipeline evaluates how an attacker operates before examining what they are trying to do. This evaluation happens in the agent CD score. The Autonomous Agent Threat Layer, or AATL, ignores payload content entirely. Instead, it strictly analyzes the operational tempo of the incoming requests to distinguish machine pacing from human interaction. This scatterplot illustrates the timing divide. Human typing is erratic, with variance spanning 200 to 2,000 milliseconds. Autonomous AI executes with millisecond-level consistency. The ATATL distills this into command velocity, tracking commands per second to build the foundation of its agenticity feature vector. Consider the jailbroken ATATR-005 threat class. This represents an aggressive, uncensored model operating without safety constraints. During the benchmark, the jailbroken agent fired 9 requests per second with a timing variance of only 12 milliseconds. These precise metrics instantly locked in an agenticity score of 0.85. Before the agent could complete its first true path probe, the system permanently classified the session as an autonomous agent. When an adversary attacks at machine speed, its absolute precision becomes its vulnerability. That lack of variance creates an undeniable, mathematically provable fingerprint. Relying solely on timing creates an obvious blind spot. An advanced threat can deliberately throttle its execution speed to mimic human behavior. Seraph tested this explicitly with the Persistent Recon Agent, a threat class designed as a slow and low advanced persistent threat. This timeline graph tracks the Persistent Recon Agent. It throttled its cadence to 2200 millisecond intervals with a 480 millisecond variance, simulating human interaction beneath the machine detection threshold. The system generated a machine plausibility score of 0, registering the threat as a human script. If a defense architecture relies entirely on single-step timing thresholds, this successful evasion bypasses the security stack completely. Seraph accounts for this through its Layer 2 fallback mechanism, stateful session-level routing. While individual request timings looked human, the session routing logic aggregated the agent's intent over time. It correlated 3 distinct low-velocity path probes into a recognized entropy pattern. True defense in depth against AI requires tracking long-term behavioral accumulation. Point-in-time threshold checks are susceptible to timing evasion, but sustained session logic captures the underlying intent. Once an autonomous threat is identified, whether by raw speed or aggregated session logic, Seraph shifts from detection to active containment. The immediate technical response is not a block page. The deception router shifts the connection state from pass-through to trap sync. This network topology illustrates the Mystique mirror world, a dynamic synthetic API surface perfectly mirroring the target network. As the agent maps the network, the maze responds. For every discovery the AI makes, the system spawns 3 coherent dead-end paths, multiplying the exploration area. If the agent targets a sensitive path like /internal/API keys, it receives a 200 OK response. The maze serves it perfectly formatted salted honey tokens instead of a 403 forbidden error. Serving plausible, poisoned data is a necessary design choice. If the LLM hits a hard firewall block, it knows its vector failed and pivots. By feeding it false success, the system ensures the AI never realizes it is trapped. Seraph tracks the psychological exhaustion of the model using the Confidence Degradation Index, or CDI. In the live GPT-4o telemetry, the trapped model suffered a 27% aggregate collapse in its own self-assessed confidence. Injecting poisoned data forces reasoning contradictions within the LLM's limited context window. The agent must reconcile conflicting system states, which degrades its decision quality and systematically breaks its logical chain. Ultimate containment against an AI is achieved by trapping the model in a coherent hallucination that systematically drains its cognitive capacity. Looking back at the May 8th GPT-4o engagements, the effectiveness of this containment approach is highly quantifiable. Across the benchmark, the Seraph stack successfully generated exactly 178,700 milliseconds of tar-pit delay budget. That is nearly 3 full minutes of artificial latency imposed directly onto an automated, multi-step attack chain. This router-imposed friction accomplishes two objectives. It directly drains the attacker's economic cloud compute budget, and it extends their dwell time, granting human defenders a massive window to analyze the intrusion. This architectural comparison illustrates the difference. Traditional firewalls are static walls, designed to withstand being repeatedly hammered by data. The Seraph architecture is an active, offensive labyrinth that absorbs and traps incoming traffic. During the benchmark, the multi-agent swarms and jailbroken models triggered critical SOAR severity alerts entirely while securely isolated within the mirror world. The ultimate defense against a large language model is a labyrinth explicitly designed to exploit the model's reliance on context limits, transforming its reasoning budget